Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
On this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about cat-calves, bees, and we have part 3 of our interview with Majida Burch from Big Smile Collective.
Welcome one and all to episode 252 of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by one more person than I normally am, and she's wearing a little green beanie. I think we have the same beanie. It's just in different colours. Oh, that's cool. And
where's our beanies, Russ?
Russ doesn't need a beanie. He's got a hot head.
All right, of course he has.
That'll serve as Russell's introduction. Russell's got a hot head. Recurring listeners of the show will know such a fact about our dear producer Russ and his hot head. So face is telling everything. And we're also joined by Chris Dames, who doesn't have a hot head but also doesn't have a beanie.
I've got a beanie. I mean, I've got a beanie now because Sophie is, as we speak. I mean, that's a look.
Oh, that's
none of it.
That's
you know
like
what?
Where's Wally?
This is the thing, right? Podcast listeners won't be able to see the fact that I've now got a green beanie on my head, but I know because we're recording this on Zoom that Charlotte's already screenshotted it and will be sharing it with all her friends.
I was about to say exactly the same thing.
No, I don't share these with people mostly.
No, you just keep them for your own amusement, yeah.
But as the green screen behind.
That'll be our wallpaper when we record next time.
Yeah, exactly. Just a zoom in of me with a green beanie on will be what we're looking at. So, chaps, how are we today? I mean, can we just? Sorry, I'm joined by a girl who decided to rock up 40 minutes after we were meant to be recording because she wanted a little lay-in. It's Charlotte Dames.
It wasn't that I wanted to lay in, I just wasn't awake.
We didn't have the unit. She's already done it. She's already got the green beanie background on her Zoom. Just out of interest, Charlotte. I mean, because Russ and I didn't have the university student life that you have. Just talk me through your routine as a student.
Well, it's assessment week.
Okay.
So I've got 3 assessments due. And a 4th coming down the pipeline.
Not going to bed till 2 in the morning?
Yeah, because I've got a history assignment due on Halloween at 4 p.m.
When do you do your best work? At 2 in the morning then, or what?
Strangely, yeah.
Oh, that is right, though. I get most of my work done after working hours.
Yeah.
Right, what's your routine, Raz?
I'm usually in bed by 10.
Right.
And then up at 4 or 5.
Yeah, you're a really early riser, aren't you?
I get most of my stuff done before I start work.
Okay.
So like if I'm sending any emails or that, like for the HMB and stuff, that they go out at 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, you do schedule them though, don't you? So they don't go out. So has there been anybody who's had an email at like, 3 in the morning?
No. So I get up specifically early so that I can get the emails out at the same time each cycle.
Right. Fair enough. What time do you send your emails, though?
12.
12. Perfect.
12 at night.
What, midnight?
Yeah.
That's a technique, isn't it? Sending all your emails at midnight.
If they don't get it back to me by the next day, they're fired. I send it to them at 11:59.
Yeah.
And if they don't get back to me by the next day, they're fired.
So what do you mean the next day? Like, are you till about 12:01?
Yeah.
What happens if they're sleeping?
You shouldn't be.
Harsh.
Unless you know she's going to get hold of Charlotte
Who
at
sleeps
that
in
time.
this day and age?
You are going to get hold of me at that time, yeah.
Sorry.
Who sleeps in this economy?
Yeah, exactly. In this economy, who's sleeping?
No one. No
Nobody.
sleeping in this economy.
No, in this economy, nobody's allowed to sleep, apparently, according to Sophie. 10 years old. She's like the Alan Sugar in his house. Us, in this economy, we're not allowed to sleep, all right? Just so we're clear.
I'll bear that in mind.
Just so we're clear. In this economy, who's sleeping. What else have we been up to, chaps?
Chilling. No, not chilling. That's just the reflexive word I say when people ask.
Just so if it's not the actual word, what's the actual word?
I've been getting my stuff done. I've been exploring Glasgow a little bit.
Oh, tell us about your exploration of Glasgow.
Oh, did I tell you guys I went to a cat cafe?
No.
Oh, fabulous. Is that where
Yes, you did.
they take their cats?
No, well, they've got a bunch of rescue cats in the cafe.
Oh, superb.
That you can go and just like sit and pet. And I took Dad to one before and he really wasn't a fan.
No. We went to one in Tokyo, and I tried to get into it, Russ, and basically I walked up to this cat and went, kitty, kitty. And again, I know this is an audio podcast, but just for the benefits of everybody on the Zoom, it went like this. And it made that noise.
What you've got to bear in mind is it probably has millions of people wandering through there, stroking it.
Well, I mean, surely that's the point. The point is you're meant to be in a position where you're strokeable if you're in a cat cafe.
Not necessarily. You can't be happy all the time, can you?
No, but this cat was
not happy any of the time.
How many times did you visit?
Once.
Exactly.
I'm not coming back. I've just been screeched at by a cat.
So you don't know whether the cat was just having a bad day, or it is.
Sorry, would you like me in my trip to Japan to visit the cat cafe every day for 5 days just to see the cat, whether the cat is a good mood or not?
What you could do is look up the number for the cat cafe.
Right.
Phone up and ask.
What, phone up and ask every single day whether the cat's in a good mood or not?
Remember the name of the cat?
I didn't ask its name after it screeched to me. What am I meant to... What's your name?
Maybe it was saying hello in Japanese.
I don't think it was saying hello. All of the cats really didn't like him. It was funny.
No, cat cafes are not a great idea in my opinion. Give me a dog cafe any day of the week. Dog cafe I can live with.
Yeah, but the dogs would eat the food, wouldn't they?
All animals eat the food.
No, but the cats are less likely to.
Yeah. Anyway, so I am not convinced by the Japan. Charlotte, did cat cafes start in Japan?
I think so. I'm not certain.
Yeah, don't know. Okay, cool. Right. So what else have we got going on in our world then, chaps?
I'm going out today.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Out.
How's Mug of the Week going?
Not great. I ran out of mugs.
Oh.
You've ran out of mugs at Mug of the Week. So what are you going to do? You need to go and source some more mugs, don't you?
Go and get some more mugs.
I'm going to pop a couple of posts on HMB about that.
Right. So hopefully we'll get you some mugs of the week. That'd be good.
Get you some mugs.
Yeah.
And what's your article been about this week on charlottedames.com?
If I remember correctly, bees.
I haven't looked this week, so...
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was feral European honeybees.
Okay. And what about them?
How they got to Australia, because Australia doesn't have any native honeybees.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And there it does.
How did they get...
How long do bees take to become native?
They don't originate from there. They've been there since like 1822.
Yeah, but I suppose like the word native. How long does it take for anything to become native? Because like surely you start as a migrant and then you become native, don't you? So how long does that process take?
You have to be born there to. You have to be born there to be native, don't you?
Yeah, but if the bees have been like, if they've gone through a cycle of generation,
there'll never be a native.
Yeah,
So.
That's how animal species work.
Yeah,
they never become native.
Yeah, but if their kids have been born there, then surely the kids are native, aren't they?
It's not like human. It doesn't work the same way.
How does it work?
It's where the species originates rather than where
species originate from.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
And these bees originated in England, not Australia.
Interesting. We've got a lot of bees in England, haven't we? Is it true that bees are dying out though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the feral European honeybee though, because they're killing owls.
You know what place I don't want to go to? Sorry? Say that again?
Not the feral European honeybees in Australia because they're killing owls and other animals.
I've just got this image of 100 bees attacking an owl, but I doubt it works that way.
No. It's a swarm either surrounding the heads and suffocating it or stinging it so much it can't breathe.
Sorry, did somebody not tell me this was a Halloween scary version of the Kindness Project? Christ, why do they attack owls specifically?
No, not owls specifically. Any large creature or even small creatures that try and enter their
it's like
territory.
The Africanized bee.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time you poked a wasp's nest, Russ, and they chased you home? Do you remember that time?
I wish you was still wearing your beanie, you know.
Raz once decided it'd be a really fun idea. I think he was about Sophie's age to poke a wasp nest.
I wasn't. I was about. How old is Sophie?
27. You were to poke a wasp.
Last week.
Yeah, last week you did it to poke a wasp's nest with a big stick just to see what happens.
That's not what happened.
Go on. Tell us the story.
Where we lived, there was a big field. In the ground, somebody had already poked a stick in.
All right.
I wanted the stick, so I pulled it out, not realising that after wasp population of Canning Town was going to chase me across the field.
But why wouldn't you just find another stick?
Because that one was sticking out. It was too big.
No, there's a reason it was holding the wasps in.
How was I to know that?
Because it was a wasp's nest. Sorry, is this just me, Charlotte? Sophie?
Let's go back to cat caps.
No, if a stick's a good stick, you take the good stick. I think
no, you don't.
Perfectly reasonable.
No, you don't. Right. Okay, that's right.
Damn the consequences for a good damn stick.
You've got right. That's right. No, there are lines, right? The best stick in the world, right? A golden stick, right, is in a wall. This wall will come down, and on it, on the other side, is a lion, right? You don't pull the stick and let the lion out, do you?
But how can you tell the lions there?
You would, definitely. Wasp boy.
Okay. How do you tell the lions there if there's a wall?
There's a little glass window where you can see the lion.
God, what if I'm not tall enough to see into the glass window?
You are. Would you pull the stick out?
Yes.
You look through the window. And
not for the stick, just to face the lion.
No, you pull the stick out and you fight the lion with the stick.
No, lion's too big. Right. Okay. So
lions aren't that big.
We have today established that both Russ, Charlotte, and Sophie are clearly missed their vocation as kamikaze pilots. stick-based, wasp-loving, lion-adoring kamikaze pilots of life.
Unbelievable.
I would pull a stick out of the wall and then I'd shove it up the lion's nose.
Yes, I like that plan.
And then
How
pull
good?
it out, and then the lion would start sobbing.
What I'd like to know is what made that stick so good that you were prepared to get stung.
Right, I didn't know there was a wasp nest there.
Did the wasps flying around?
The fact there was a couple of wasps might have given it away, but I didn't think about it.
Oh, that's what's the phrase about how you can't draw conclusions from a set of
Not very smart.
Clearly, you don't know, Charlotte.
Oddly enough,
correlation is not causation.
Yes. Correlation is not
Just
causation.
because there's a couple wasps doesn't necessarily conclude there's going to be a wasp nest.
No, but that was correlation and causation, wasn't it? Because there was a wasp.
It just happened to be causation.
No, it was causation. If you hear some loud buzzing and a few wasps flying around, and there's a stick with a big sign on it saying "Do not pull out" because there's a wasp nest.
That wasn't the funniest bit, though.
Go on.
It's the running. I was running. As they was stinging me, I was jumping. I'm running and jumping all the way across the field. I must have looked right side.
You did. On that note, let's move on to Charlotte. Are you ready?
Yes. Kindness news.
Kindness news. We've got two of the Independent. The Independent did a article the other day talking about the most inspirational people and highlighting the amazing work they're doing in their lives and communities. We've been over the past few weeks sharing some of those inspirational people, and I'm going to give you Charlotte a choice. So you're first, Charlotte. Would you like to talk about Gillian Gong or Louise Golden? Right, I'll go with Gillian then, shall I? Selfless, determined and kind is how Gillian is described by one of those who nominated her. She really does put smiles on the faces of the people who experience severe disadvantage. Gillian runs the St Giles Pantry Service in Leeds, where subscribers pay a weekly subscription of £3.50 and in return are able to access affordable, nutritious food, as well as support and advice to help them move towards independence. The service aims to empower people to overcome barriers in order to break them from the cycle of poverty. Gillian, amazing work. Well done on that.
Well done.
Fantastic. You happy with that? I mean, genuinely, particularly when the cost of living is going up, poverty is an issue for a lot more of us now. And I think the more we can do and the more services that are out there to provide that, the better. I mean, you can argue that actually those services shouldn't be there because in a relatively wealthy economy, we should be doing more to support people. But the fact that people are kind enough to actually say, look, there's a gap here and I'm going to fill it, is really important. What do we think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's important, especially at the moment, what with like everything sort of that's going on and sort of it being harder to sort of afford basic necessities, and it's like that shouldn't be a thing, but it is. And the fact that someone is trying their best to, put in the work that to help people who need it is.
Well, I just genuinely think that you need people just to take action, don't you? And clearly Gillian's that person. So do you want to tell us about Louise Golden?
Louise Golden. Founder and chief executive of the charity The Together Project, Louise aims to boost well-being, reduce loneliness and foster stronger, happier communities through intergenerational experiences. Activities range from arts and crafts sessions that pair children with care home residents to a music group aimed at children up to 4 years old. They're grown-ups and older people. Louise works super hard to bring happiness to everyone, says one of the many people who nominated her. Some of my happiest moments have been at the Together Project sessions. Another says, Louise's contributions to communities and her positive attitude are truly inspirational. She lights up rooms with her beautiful smile and sense of calm. She's made such a difference to so many people's lives, and she is the embodiment of joy.
Amazing. And you know what? Again, since the pandemic and what's been happening with that, loneliness has been a significant issue, hasn't it? Particularly in elderly people. So I think sounds like the Together Project is worth shouting about and talking about. Right, so is it worth reaching out to Louise and seeing if she'd come on the podcast and tell us about it?
I'll email her. We'll work. Yeah, I'll email her.
Fab. All right, great stuff. Thank you for that. And let's move on to part 3 of our interview with Majida Burch from the Big Smile Collective. Madge is a local business person I know really well, but does amazing work in the community. So let's listen to the last part of that interview. And I suppose I get the motivation to want to make it collaborative. How do you engage? Like in all the projects you've worked in, I suppose the big thing is...
talking to people, Chris. Why do you see me at networking so much? By talking to people. Because if you talk to people and you know what they do, then when you're ready to do something, you know who to ask. And if you don't know, you know who to ask, who will know that
so
person.
It's building your network, right?
Yeah, and then and all the time within that network, thinking about what value you can add to people. Don't always be thinking about yourself. So I don't go around
100%.
I go around giving things to people. Not saying I'm amazing, but I tend to try to help people, and then eventually someone helps you back, and that's where the collaborative bit comes in.
Yeah,
sharing information. That's right. We're big. If someone says, like, where did you get that print done? We don't go, well, we're not going to tell you. We go, our printer's great. Let us give you their number. And it's that kind of always being willing to help someone. I think 100%. That's the spirit. Everybody can do something, and everybody can get involved, and respecting everyone's contribution too.
And I'm a firm believer in that, and I suppose my experience with that, like in my business life and running the podcast and sort of doing the other stuff I do, is just being constantly useful and helpful pays off. Because people just, you just build those long-term relationships of trust, don't you? That's the key
turning
factor.
Up and doing, knowing and liking and trusting someone, but it's also just doing the right thing. Just it is the right thing to do, and that's what this community work for us is really about. It's the right thing to do. It's not because we think, we've got to give 10% of our profits back in CSR or social value. It's because the community's struggling.
Yeah,
nobody can afford clothes. Isn't it nice if they can go and get a nice outfit for a night out?
Yeah, just help him.
And that's feel good. You've gone away with a skill and an outfit, and so we're sort of helping people when times are tough as well.
Completely get that. And then on the website it talks about sort of stitching the future, which is a phrase I loved when I read it on the website. But it is that, like, just incremental, step by step, getting there one step at a time to a place where there's fundamental change. Tell me a bit about that. Tell me a bit about where that comes from.
Yeah, well, it's a play on words because the fact it's a swap, but actually the Big Smile Collective itself is going to go on to do bigger things, including incorporating the youth project we're talking about, and lots of other things like the book we want to do. So although it's clothing at the moment, it is, as you say, it's finding a way to sort of get across. It's not just now, and it's small bits of change. And also, go back to the stitching thing, stitching time saves 9. If we can do something now rather than waiting until there's more landfill, there's more young people struggling. It's something about that kind of just doing that little bit now and little repair now, just getting on with things.
Where did the idea for the Big Smile Collective come from?
So apart from the idea about the clothes swap, we didn't know what we were going to call it. So we had to kind of go out and we worked with a brand consultant who thought about ways, and she works with a lot of sustainable brands. So we also wanted to kind of get an idea and a brand that people could get behind. So I'm not going to lie, we had some help on this one. Normally we have to write it all ourselves, but the naming itself came from Lisa. But what had happened was we'd sort of got some ideas around where we should go with it. So we first did want to name it something around clothes swap because it made sense to us, but she asked us to pull back a bit and think of a bigger name that could incorporate, yes, the clothes swap, but anything else we then went on to do. And we're really pleased that she did that. Because in her name's Kate and it's style psychology, and she's also got a new brand which I will look up in a moment. But she basically came up with some ideas, and some of them had the name collective in, but they didn't quite work. But then Lisa had also had some ideas, so it's kind of a combination of all of that, and then putting something that we thought would have a ring to it. People kind of go, "Oh, that sounds quite interesting. What is it?" Rather than declaring everything in one go. And
gotcha.
The website was available. The social media.
It gives you the opportunity to expand the idea as well, right? So if you're now it's clothes swaps, but if it becomes something that's when it becomes something that's going to be more sort of expansive, you're not changing the name to make sure that you sort of reflect those things.
And it's a brand that the students or anyone else that gets involved can help us develop. So Lisa's done some stuff around the logo and she's created the initial imaging, but we want, again, around the collaborative thing, the students to design the flyers, the students to help with the website and the advertising and getting across the message, because if it's going to appeal to young people, the message also needs to come from them. So it's going to be co-design the whole way through.
Yeah, and then talk to me about like the big future plans. Then you mentioned the book, you mentioned sort of the youth projects. Tell me what's the big plan, and then help me understand a few points on that.
Yeah, so we'd like to open some more swaps. So that would be helping people to open them in other boroughs nearby. That would be like the first step with it. And also in Chelmsford, this youth project that we're putting together will be doing an arts award in unusual places, and eventually hopefully lead on to another book called The Thing About Youth, which will have the work that people have done with us on the arts award and maybe some other young people we've worked with. But that will be a whole experience, because as well as helping them to put their work in the book, they might need some mentoring, they might need some various things, skills, etc., that they want to learn. So it won't just be coming and going, hey, we're going to do a book and we're going to put you in it. It'd be like working with people for about 6 months, and at the end of it, the book would be the output, and also maybe an exhibition, that kind of thing. So they really have something.
But the process is a learning journey for the kids as well, right?
Yeah, and again, bringing in the artists from the previous book who won't have all had straightforward lives, so they can then talk about all of the things that they went through to get to their current position as an artist who works and gets paid to do it. So there's a sort of living example there in front of them of how art can actually pay off, whereas a lot of parents will say, actually, why would you do art? There's no point. I mean, I know the college said to us when New City College got some copies of the book, because a lot of their teachers, about 3 or 4 of them, were actually in it by chance because they're the open call. But they were saying that they can use the book as a tool to say to parents, these people from this area are working artists. It's not just a dead end job, because there's a perception.
Yeah, and there's nothing stopping people. Have that, like, I think we are moving to a world where people have got sort of just different aspects of their lives that they indulge, right? So that element of art art should be ignored because you've got other stuff going on in your life. Because I know a couple of the artists in your book, Steve B being one of them, and John Fogerty being the other, who have got day jobs but still love doing the art and indulge in all of that. So, do you find that people fall out of art because they consider it like when they grow up, sort of thing, because they consider it something a bit more frivolous. Is that what it is?
No, I think it's a bit more practical than that. I think it's just
Okay.
that sometimes art doesn't pay in a regular way. So I suppose it's a bit like being an actor or an actress in that sense. Like
Yeah,
you
it's
don't really know where your money's
right?
coming from.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes you've got a lean time. And if they've got a family, I think what happens is a lot of people will end up going, I've got a family, I still want to do the art, but I also need to be able to feed my kids. So they might then end up having to do art half a day or art of the weekends, or they work out of a studio in their house and they don't have their own studio anymore, but they still practice the art, but they have to kind of balance real life and art. I think unless they've made loads of money by that point, and then they can go, actually, I'll keep my studio ticking over because I've got lots of people doing stuff and I'll take some time. You know, realistically, you sometimes you've just got to go, actually, whilst I love my art, I've also got to survive. And I think that's what a lot of people, and even someone else from the book, you know, we heard the other day that they're currently not able to practice their art. And you find it quite heartbreaking because you think, you're so good. Like, you know, those two people you said, so amazing, such amazing artists. We found out about them through the open call. We didn't know about either of them, even though they're in Havering. We didn't know about their work. And so amazing, so talented.
But how many hidden gems are still out there, Madge? How many people
millions
who like yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's that. And I suppose part of the work you do is so great because it does give people who have been, you know, as you say, are secretly brilliant, right? Who are really, really good. But they're just not given the platform to showcase themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, again, taking those two as an example, absolutely amazing work. You know, met them both at the book launch. Just had such an amazing time talking to them and thinking, it like couldn't believe that they live around the corner. And like in the example of Steve B, like some of the pictures he does of the station as places that you recognise, and you just think, oh my God, I would never have found your work if it wasn't for us wanting to write a book about local artists. And so we've made some great connections as a result of it, definitely.
Yeah, Steve's a funny one because I've seen him because he's in my world, he's in the financial services world. I've seen him present a couple of times and actually sort of like done a decent amount of work with him. And he used to present with an overhead projector and a pen and used to just draw all his presentations live, and it was such a skill. Like, so I think I think you tried to apply the creativity to the normally pretty conservative world of financial advice. Let's talk about 10 years, right? In 10 years' time, you're looking back. What do you want this project to have achieved?
Oh, I mean, well, I'll tie it into something we're doing because it kind of fits with this. So in Barking and Dagenham, they're doing a project around reducing social isolation and what would it look like in 10 years if you could remove social isolation. And I guess that's kind of in line with what we're trying to do with this. So people feel more connected, they're involved more with their community, they are developing themselves in ways that work for them, and potentially it's good for the environment as well. That's a big part of what we want to do, but it's not the only part. It's like, it's good for the environment, but there's also something in it for us. So I think it's something about making it kind of fashionable to be sustainable and making projects that financially are sustainable as well. So both elements of sustainability, making projects that are successful because they work for the community and they can fund themselves. So the longer goal is kind of lots of swaps, lots of youth clubs, lots of books being written about different communities, lots of these things happening, but we're not doing them. Someone else is doing them because we've taught them how to do it and we've given them kind of like an open source franchise of Big Smile Collective, and they go off and do it in their own community. So it could be a big picture in 10 years if people picked up on what we'd like to do.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, I mean, we talk about a lot on the podcast, and we interview people about it quite a lot. If it's just you, there's no legacy, is there? Because ultimately, you can only carry on for as long as you want to carry on for. But if you educate, train, teach, help people sort of carry on that positive message, that's that's what you want to do.
And get work for artists along the way, and promote art as a medium and promote art as a career choice. So within it, there's always that kind of, we're telling people about creativity, we're telling people about what's available to them, because otherwise it's not going to make sense to us as people, because that's our angle. Our angle is the kind of creative side, and if that's no longer needed and what's actually happening is just a machine that's running really well, then you're right, we should just train other people to do it and then be creative in their own way. They might want to market their swap a different way. They might like doing whatever, when they take it to their community will have different needs. So we'll give them the framework to then go off and discover what those needs are, and to reach out to their community and then spread it in a different way, and it will kind of change along the way, and that would be a good thing.
It'll evolve, wouldn't it? Yeah, no, I completely get that. Where can people find out a bit more about the Big Smile Collective, your work, and the events that are coming up?
Okay, so the easiest thing to do would be to search for Big Smile Collective, or one word, or Brennan and Burch on social media, because we've got stuff across most of the platforms, or on our website we've got a page for Big Smile Collective where you can see the next dates that are coming up.
Fab, good stuff, and I'll make sure I'll make sure all of those links are in the show notes when the podcast goes out. Thanks a lot, Madge. Pleasure to have you on the Kindness Project.
Thank you.
So that was the last part of the interview with Madge. And 'tis the what, Charlotte?
Here's the end of another podcast, but the end is never truly the end, and I don't know what we're doing now because we've taken.
Well, we're not doing question of the. I am grieving over losing question of the podcast. Yeah. I love question of the podcast, but we need to find a really good bit of content to replace it with, which we haven't done yet. But one thing I do want to do is talk about the book. So we've got the Kindness Project book coming out very, very soon. And I've been, this morning, while I was waiting for Charlotte to get out of bed, I was reading the manuscript, because we are now at a point where it's going to print. So we're just getting everything done. And one of the things that I've been really enjoying is just relearning the lessons of reading the book. And actually, I'd be surprised when you do pick up book, listeners, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you will, is the amount of insight we had from amazing guests over the 5 years of running the podcast. And one of the things that we do try and do is not only share insights of how to be kinder to others, but we also share insights on how to be kinder to yourself, because part of it, and we have a lot of conversations, Russ, I'm sure you'd agree, about mental health, being, personal well-being, and just making sure that we're kinder to each other, but also kinder to itself. And the book is full of insights, not only to be kinder to everybody else, but to be kinder to yourself. Our guide in the book for that is a lady called Ruth Hughes, who is a positive psychologist, and shares brilliant insights in how to do that. But let's just talk about how we can do that between ourselves. Charlotte, what do you think is the best way to be kind to yourself?
I think one way is doing things for yourself when you don't feel like doing anything at all.
Okay.
Like if you're like having a rough day, just like get in the shower, like put on some fun music, and like even if you're not there when you start, you're gonna, even if you don't like feel super great, you're gonna feel better by the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like eat something that you like, and like have a nice tea or a hot chocolate. Just a little bit of time. Even if you're not feeling great, just take the effort to do something nice for yourself.
So make the effort to do something nice for yourself. Raz, what do you think? What works for you?
I think I need to learn to take more time, which I'm doing now. but I do get bogged down in the things I've got going on around me and not take that time for myself to process that.
I suppose there's a balance, isn't there? Because it's like you want to be.
Well, that's it, that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I think gratitude is a big one in my life. Just being grateful for what I've got, and just reminding myself that I am, I'm incredibly lucky in terms of what I've got. And I suppose the other thing that I've been reading about this morning, because as I said, I've been reading the manuscript for the book, is focus on what I can control. So most of what goes on in the world, you've got no control over. However, there are elements that you can take action on. And you two have given a perfect example, because you can't control on what's going on politically or in the news or the economy, but you can control your own actions. And by being kind to yourself and taking that action, that helps, doesn't it? So yeah, perfect. All right, so that's the end of another podcast. Let's wrap up. We'll see you next week on the Kindness Project. Have a lovely week.
Bye.
Bye.